Welcome to Gentle Painting. Today we are painting some easy blue roses and we'll be adding some gold leaf to it. What you're going to need is a variety of paintbrushes and mainly a large flat brush, small flat brush or small angle brush will be helpful with this, and you'll also need a third brush to use when we get to the gold leaf part. Also, you will need a glue stick and the gold leaf. If you have a kit, it will be in there for you. Check your envelope. You'll want a rag, a water cup, a pencil, and a plate to put your paints out on and mix with. Also, if you want, you can tape around the edges with painter's tape like I have done here. And my canvas sheet is about double the size of the canvas that comes in your kit, and that is so that you can see it better. Of course, you can try these techniques on a larger paper later, but for now, try it on your little canvas and see how it turns out for you. So yes, I'm showing you a few different brushes. Mainly we're just going to use flat brushes today, and you need a pencil. We're going to draw and plan with that. The glue stick is for sticking the gold leaf onto your paper. You'll need a few, maybe one and a half sheets depending on how big your canvas is, and then some water for rinsing off your brushes. It is always good to keep a rag around, just handy. And then I'm going to use titanium white, burnt sienna, and the bright blue. You can use any blue for this. You can actually use purple, pink, any color you want your roses to be. Today I'm going to use the bright blue, and I'm going to add a tiny little bit of pink into the background. It's magenta I'm using today, but you can use just about any color to suit your decor. So with the large flat brush, I'm just adding some water right to my canvas paper. I find that my studio is pretty hot. My canvas dries out very quickly. Adding a little bit of water to your canvas will help the paint glide easier. If you have a little spritz bottle, you can give it a few spritz. Now you don't want to add so much that your paper becomes wrinkled or there's drip marks. And don't forget that you can always add a little bit of water as you go to your paint. There is a rule with acrylic paint though, you don't want to add too much water because it breaks it down too much. But if you keep it under the 30% mark, you should be good. I usually add just a little bit at a time because you can always add more, but once you've diluted your paint too much, you can't get it back to its original density. Okay, so I'm just attaching this a little bit. It's wiggling just a little bit, so I'm just going to add another piece of tape before we start. Okay, and my concept painting is horizontal, but today I'm going to paint this vertically. And I'm just starting by adding some titanium white, and again my brush is wet, so that helps it glide. And I'm going to add a little bit of white in streaks going vertically, just wherever. Be free with this. Let yourself be creative. Now I'm just going to use just a touch of the blue, and I'm going to add it all over as well. You want to space it out and stagger it so that you're not adding colors like straight across in a row. I've added a little bit of magenta and a tiny bit of burnt umber as well. You'll see as I start blending these together, these are very dark colors and they have a tendency to overwhelm the light color that I'm trying to get. So I will be adding more white as we go, but you can see already with the blue, yeah, see it's pretty dark. So just a little bit goes a long way with the colors. And this is up to you, like if you like it that way, you can leave the darker colors. I like my rose paintings to be pretty muted in the background. I like the roses to really pop. So you'll see I'm gonna work on this a little bit, blending those colors together and lightening them up. Keep going as long as you need to get it to where you like it, and then you need to let it dry before we add these roses on. You don't want to add, on top of it, because if it's still wet it will blend together. You want them to be nice and blue. And then just with your pencil, go ahead and draw maybe 5, 7, or 9 circles. You can follow the pattern that I've used here, or you can create your own. I've just strung my roses. I'm going to do 9 again, but I'm going to do them along the top and just kind of coming down the side again. You can draw the circles just as guides, so this doesn't have to be the perfect representation of a rose, because we're just going to use one of these flat brushes. You'll have one in your kit for sure. And we're just going to really just drag some blue paint around those guide marks, and I'll show you how to do that now. We're going to add some dark blue first, and we're going to do rose by rose. So load it up. You need a lot on there because you want it. We're going to add the white, and we want lots on there so it's still nice and wet for blending. And you just want to go in a circle, short lines in the center to depict the center of the rose, so just in semicircles, sort of sweeping motions, and then as you get out more, you'll see that your lines become a little bit more spaced out. So if you're thinking like the petals of a rose, as you're doing it, and just space them out just a little bit so that it's not just one big blue ball. And again, this is the small square or angle brush that you're using. It's a flat brush, so you can really just kind of pull those crescent shapes. And before I go adding white on top of it, I'm just going to finish one off, or start one off over here in the other corner. See, as you get to the middle, it's a little bit, the lines are a little closer together. this is really a painting all about feeling and deciding where those colors are going to go and playing around. You have lots of chances to play around. If you don't get it right the first time, the good news is the paint dries and you can paint over top of it. Acrylic is really forgiving like that. And also, it doesn't have to look exactly like mine. Today is just about taking some time to be creative and exploring creatively a little bit about maybe learning a technique and then applying it to your own design later. So I do encourage you to switch up colors if you'd like, switch up the placement of the roses as well. And if you want to use today just to practice creating roses, that's perfect too. If you want to leave today's session with something beautiful to hang on your wall or put in a frame, that's awesome too. Okay, I'm still adding just a little bit of blue, doing a little bit of an outline here on another one, so crescents, sort of semicircles with that flat brush in a circle. And the thing is, don't try to be too perfect, because when it dries, the rose shape will really pop out at you. But you have to give the colors time to sort of blend together. So you lay down the blue, and then you go back in with the white, and all those spaces in between the blues, that's where you apply the white in the same stroke. So you start with the blue, semicircle all the way around where you've drawn your guide, and they can lap. You can decide which rose is in front, which ones are in behind. You can decide this as you go. And then you come back in with the white, and all those spaces that you didn't fill in with the blue, you're filling in with the white in the exact same stroke, and you're letting those colors blend, and then you're going to let them dry. And then as they dry, this rose shape will come out at you, and you can go back in and you can touch up here and there as you feel fit. So it really is one brush stroke and one brush and two colors. I really like watching these roses dry, or working on another one, and then by the time I'm done that one, kind of looking back around and seeing how they're drying and how that rose shape is really starting to pop out at me. If you wanted to do more than 9, you could do that. If you wanted to cover your whole page in roses, you could do that as well. I like to vary the sizes, some maybe a little bit smaller. I like them to touch and overlap. I think it creates a lot of interest. Going back in with the white, all those spots I didn't cover with the blue. And the white picks up the blue and creates lots and lots and lots of different variations in that blue color. the one left. So you decide where the center is. And then you decide whether it's going to overlap the ones around it or if it's going to be tucked behind. And you just add your little strokes all around in a circular fashion. You can see once you get the hang of this how quickly you can fill a whole page full of roses. So I've just done 9, and I think it's been about maybe 8 minutes. So if you need to pause to catch up, please pause at any time. Okay, so once your blue roses have dried, you can apply the glue. Now I'm applying some long streaks first, and I'm going to try to get up close to the roses, as up close as I can, and in certain spots. I mean, you could really cover as much or as little as you want with the glue, and wherever you put the glue is where the gold leaf is going to stick to. So here's my first piece. I'm just going to give it a little pat. I don't want to give it a rub though, just a little pat. So if you do have little pieces that have fallen off or stuck to the paper, you can use your fingers. It's very delicate. If you haven't used gold leaf before, this is a really fun way to explore using it. And you can use the little chunks that fall off. They're perfectly fine for this. If you are sticking pieces on with your fingers, just make sure to pat it down a little bit. Make sure that it's sticking. Okay. My second piece of gold leaf. Now, if your canvas is smaller than mine, you might only need 1. Like I said, maybe 1.5, but you'll see. Now, like, I've put a whole piece on, but there are corners that I can tear off and add to the other parts, because, you know, and I've put streaks on there of glue, so the glue isn't everywhere. Be careful when you're pulling this off. I'm kind of doing it pretty rough right now, but you want to be a little bit more gentle than I am. I have a little bit of experience doing this painting and these types of paintings with the gold leaf, so I'm a little bit more rough than I was the first few times that I did it. So but you can see I'm putting 2 sheets on. My canvas is double your size, so you probably need 1 sheet for this. And then this layer is likely just like my first layer, and once I let it dry and rub some of the excess gold off, I might go back in with my glue stick and add a few more little spaces just to stylistically make it pleasing to my eye. So with a dry brush, and I have to emphasize this, a dry brush, you can pat it down. You can use your finger too, but I've included an extra brush in the kit just for this. So you can pat it down, and then you'll see certain parts, as it starts drying, certain parts will flake off, and let them fall, or brush them aside. If they're larger pieces, you might use them for a different spot later on. I am going to put some gold in amongst the roses as well, so I might use some of the scraps from this bottom process and just pick them back up But for now, I'm just going to let everything fall. And you don't want to rub it hard. You want a very gentle touch and maybe give it even more time to dry than I'm giving it here. I'm pretty used to using gold leaf in paintings, so maybe I'm going a little bit too fast. So you might want to pause it and give it, 3 to 4 minutes. Wait for that glue to really dry before brushing off the excess like I'm doing now. So you can see anywhere the glue was, I now have gold leaf, and I'm just taking off little bits and pieces that are hanging on. Once it's really dry, you can give it a good go over, but still be gentle at this point. Okay, so I'm just picking up some gold leaf. Here's a spot that I'm going to cover, and maybe there too. So it's just really up to you if you want to fill it in more. And I'm just putting some of those scraps right over top of the glue. If you have a lot of gold leaf pieces, you can just add another one on top of it, I suppose. But once this dries and you press it down and you use a dry brush over top of it, it sort of like buffs it or shines it, and it all ends up looking the same in the end anyway. So don't be afraid to use your scraps. Okay. A little bit there. Okay, great. So, I mean, if you want to use a small brush for this, you could just use a brush for the top of the glue and gently put it amongst the roses. So maybe just like 1 or 2 swipes per rose. I'm putting it more towards the outside edges, leaving the middle there. And I'm just gonna throw another whole leaf up there. I believe your kit comes with 3 sheets of gold leaf. That should be enough to do the 3 paintings, the one of the cranes, the moon there, the pieces on the hot air balloon, and then this one, and this one will take the most, so about 1.5 sheets, I'd say, for the size canvas that comes in the kit. That being said, it all comes in an envelope, so If you haven't done the other two yet, you'll likely have all three. But if you have, while you're doing the other two, maybe you had a few extra pieces of gold leaf that you didn't use and you shoved them back in your envelope. So that's always a good idea too, just in case you wanted to put a little bit more on this painting. But you can see I'm really tore another edge off and stuck it somewhere else. So one sheet does go quite a long way. And if you want to see the hot air balloon or the cranes paintings, you can just check out my YouTube channel. They're on there for more gold leaf ideas and techniques. Don't forget to pat your gold down, even in the roses. You want to give it a little pat. I'll add a little bit more to these roses. So you're getting your fingers sticky and full of gold right now. And then again, let it dry, and the bottom should be dry now. So I'm going to give it a nice brush and get all the excess off, and we can reveal the final unveiling of the bottom here. These drips, golden drips. Make sure you're using a dry brush for this, and I included an extra one in your kit, so you will have a dry brush no matter what. And if you have a bunch left over in your own art supplies, that's great too, just as long as it's a soft bristled brush. So it's all coming off. It's coming off nicely all together. Quite happy with this painting. And if you've made it this far, you should be very happy with yourselves. And congratulations, you have made your own blue and gold rose painting. If you wanted to follow along and find out more about gentle painting, you can go to my website at www.thewhimsyartloft.ca, and you can also email me at artbyrhiannonbarry@gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Art by Rhiannon Barry. And then I have an Instagram called Rhiannon Barry Art. Now, gentle painting was originally an activity I wanted to do outside in parks and community gardens, and unfortunately COVID restrictions have stopped that from happening so far. So I did create these videos and kits. But that being said, if you're interested in joining a creative community, I do have an online activity called Creative Conversations Pen Pals Project. If you'd like to know more about that, please go to my website and read through the guidelines and sign up if you're interested. So again, my website is www.thewhinseyartloft.ca.